Here we have the JVC CS-DR621 speakers. These are, as you can see, 6.5 inch or 16 centimeters in diameter. And these are for the coupe. Now, I already installed these same speakers in the doors themselves, and I'm going to be installing these in the rear of the car. So I'm just going to walk you through on how to remove the panels in order to do this install. All of these components came from Crutchfield.com. Now, Crutchfield is very well known for providing top quality audio equipment, and they were very, very helpful when I spoke to someone that worked for the company when I needed assistance to pick the right parts. So my head unit, these speakers, and the adapters to have these speakers be plug and play were also provided. They also provided me with a harness that made my head unit plug and play, and obviously that's vehicle specific. So once again, if you're looking for audio equipment for your car and you just want to take the wiring headache out of it, and you want to make things simpler and easier to find and locate all in one place, I highly recommend using Crutchfield.com. So I'm going to install these rear speakers today, and let's get to it. Now, as you can see here, I took off the piece, the trim piece that goes right along here, this door seal piece. Now, in order to remove this side piece here, as you can see, right next to the seatbelt, in order to remove this piece, you have to take out the associated clips that are down here with a trim tool remover and just get in between. It's a clip that goes into a smaller clip that kind of has like fingers, if you will, that grabs into the plastic of this panel. So I'm going to show you how to remove that now. So from here with the trim tool, you're going to go into the pocket here and just kind of dig in until you can uproot these. Just have to kind of work with them a little bit, persuade them a bit to get them out. Clip into there, you'll hear it release. Take them out, and then you proceed to the inside of the car and remove these clips. So from here now, you're going to take your trim remover tool, and you're going to just lightly try to work the sharp edge. Just give me a moment here. And then you just slowly get in there just like that. Comes right out. This is what I meant with the inner finger. That inner clip that has like these like little fingers to it that grabs into the plastic. So you're going to remove these. And they tend to be all around the panel. So you'll have one up here in the corner. This panel's bent and damaged, so that's not even engaged. That clip is just dangling there, but you'll have a few holes that go around. Obviously, if you remove your rear seat like I did, it makes the removal of these pieces a lot easier. So you're just going to go on and remove this clip in the exact same manner, just like so. Now you have those out, and you're able to take this panel up by itself. Now let's move on to the bigger panel. Now with this portion of the install, I would highly suggest taking off this, just lightly pull from the sides, and just pull this clip off for the seat belts. Now, what you can do after pulling that off for the seatbelt, right? You're obviously going to have to loosen this bolt, take this out all the way after you take this off. Because in order to remove the rear parcel shelf back there to install those rear speakers, this entire cover here, which would be the B pillar, which goes back to this C pillar all as one piece, this entire trim piece has to come off. But this large side panel and the seatbelt has to be unbolted in order to do so. So now we're just going to pull off this panel. Just going to work our way around, and you'll hear the clips release all around. just kind of wave this around a bit and push up. Now you're pushing up towards the roof, and that panel is right off. It comes off just like so, and you should see these this panel with dimple dies on it, and obviously this open space. So from here, you are now going to work on removing the seatbelt. So for this portion, we're going to take a 14 millimeter, well, me preferably, I took a deep socket. You could use a short socket, but using my cordless ratchet from Milwaukee, 3/8 drive. Now you could use a ratchet, or you could use a 3/8 drive impact wrench. It's completely up to you, but you don't need to really overdo it to loosen these bolts. So we're just going to go like so, brace ourselves all around it, make sure we're fully on the bolt head. And we're completely loosened. Now, don't make the same mistake I did when I took off the top of this seatbelt. There is actually a spacer and a washer, a crush washer of some sort, that you don't want to lose for your seatbelt fitment. So just make sure that you try not to drop that after loosening this 14 millimeter bolt. Now for this portion, we're going to start to lightly remove this trim piece. So you just pull from right here on this corner first, just try to reach behind, pull up as you heard, releasing clips, and just work your way around slowly. Everything is pretty tight clip-wise on it, so you're going to kind of be forceful with it. It's going to feel like you're going to break it, but just take your time and try to work your way around this area, much like I did. So now as we move back here, let me just readjust the light for you guys. As we move back here, we're just gonna lightly reach behind, keep pulling the clips until we get the rest of this to release. So just give me one moment here. Just gonna have to release from back here next to the windshield rear glass, and everything comes off. So where this seatbelt connect goes, you have to reach next to the glass and kind of pull. So now this whole piece should, oh, actually I'm missing a clip. It's a good thing I slowed down in case you're trying to save these pieces. Right underneath here, there is a clip. So I'm going to remove that clip now with the trim tool. Just gonna kind of reach back there, and it should release like so. You're just gonna leverage the tool like so, and it'll push it right out. So as you can see on the back of the panel, there is actually 3 of these yellow clips. Now this is the one that I was somewhat struggling with, but I got, as you saw in the scene before this. And there are 2 ones that are on the rear of this trim piece, and these sit closer to the rear windshield. So now we're going to start to do the exact same process on the driver's side in order to remove all of this to get to that rear shelf. Now before I forget, it looks like here is where you may have in these 3 spots on top of the shelf itself, where there were either screws that were covered by a like a clip or a cover of some sort, plastic in nature, on these 3 points before you're able to lift this up and access your speakers. So from here, you're going to want to lightly push up on this panel, and you'll see a few clips here and there. You just go slowly upward on this panel here, and those clips will release. Now, when you go in here to remove the speaker itself, there are going to be, it's kind of hard to see here, there are going to be 3 Phillips head screws, 3 black Phillips head screws. So I would suggest getting one of the Phillips head sockets for a ratchet, and getting in this tight space if you can't seem to get this shelf fully removed from the car, and you're able to take up all of these screws out of here in order to remove the old speaker. Now here is the bottom side of the speaker itself. You're going to want to gently just pull this connector off of the terminals, like so. Just rock back and forth, and it'll just come right off here. And that is what you're going to have to do before you could remove the screws around here, as you can see. Now, an even easier way to remove this old speaker would actually be to take out this top piece. But you can only get to the, let me show you, you can only get to these prongs underneath that you have to bend the tabs on in order to take straight off the top of this parcel shelf. That way it's much easier for you to access those 3 black Phillips head screws, and you'll have all the overhead room to work on them. So if you want to get easier access, you have to remove that. So now you're just going to reach underneath here and push up on that speaker after getting those 3 black Phillips head screws out. This is what they look like after they've been installed. And over here on this one, for a better representation, you can see these screws are still loose. Now you're going to have to rotate the speaker physically until you could line up the hole on the speaker itself to the metal plate that is actually attached to the car, that bezel piece, if you will. So rotate until you have these lined up with those holes. And if you want to make it easier, what I did is I placed a flashlight underneath here in the trunk area and just held it up so I could see what holes go where, and I rotated the speaker accordingly so I could match up the holes. So you're going to want to leave these loose so you could kind of like, you know, move the speaker around so you could get each screw to go in straight into the hole, because the last thing you want to do is cross thread a bolt or screw of any kind. It just makes everything a lot tougher. Then you have to you know, tap and die and stuff of that nature to fix a threaded hole. So that could just avoid all that headache by just leaving these loose and you know, putting these in one by one. Now this is what it looks like after I've put back in those covers over the JVC speakers that we just installed. And I also didn't film, but I put in the wiring harness looms that they send you that allow this to be a plug-and-play affair. Now, unfortunately, today we won't be able to actually test out those rear speakers that we just installed due to a very, very dead battery on this car. So I have to get that all sorted out. And hopefully soon we'll be able to test those out, and I can show you guys just how crisp, clear, and loud those JVC speakers actually are, because I already tested months back the door speakers when I first installed those. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and if I missed anything, please comment and, you know, like and subscribe, and feel free to ask me any questions. Thanks for watching.